So you're looking to move to Franklin County, Pennsylvania. Well, today I'm going to talk to you about some of the pros and cons of living in Franklin County. So let's get into it. Talking about pros and cons, one of the first pros that I have is crime rate in Pennsylvania, or crime rate in Franklin County, Pennsylvania. So Franklin County, Pennsylvania is a fairly safe area to live in. Nowadays, everybody's worried about safety. Everybody, things have changed since the past. I know where I grew up in my neighborhood, it was mostly you can leave your garage door open, your front door unlocked, your back door unlocked, and you wouldn't have any worry of people coming in and taking your stuff or entering your house. So nowadays, a little different. And I would always say lock up your house. Make sure your kids know that if they're home alone, they lock the front door, back door, side door, whatever the case may be, just to make sure nothing happens. You want to be overly cautious nowadays compared to back in the 90s, early 2000s when I grew up. But Franklin County is still a pretty safe area to be in. The violent crimes are nowhere near the national average. And the petty crimes are again nowhere near the national average. So realistically, living in Franklin County, you're living in a fairly safe community with a bunch of smaller towns all making up Franklin County. It's a fairly safe community here. So looking at the chart below, we basically have your national averages for violent crimes are 19.1 for Pennsylvania. I'm sorry, your national average is 22.7. Doesn't say it on the chart here. But it's 22.7 is the national average, and that's per 100,000 people. So you can see in the light blue here, Franklin County is 11.9, and then Chambersburg, Waynesboro, which are two smaller cities inside Franklin County, are 10.8. So if you're going down to property crime, I'm sorry, I mentioned earlier it's 1 for 100,000. It's 1 for 100 crime index, 1 of 100. So again, going back into the property though, you're looking at 26, which is about average to the national average. And then here in Waynesboro, where I live, and then Chambersburg, it's about 22.8. And so you're still getting some of the property issues, but your violent crimes are way down. Petty crimes are usually what you have in most smaller towns. So I say consider that a pro. Another pro I would consider is your outdoor adventures. So again, I have talked in previous videos that we have 4 state parks in Franklin County. They all offer a lot of different varieties of outdoor activities between beaches, parks, hiking, kayaking, fishing, all kinds of those things. We also have a couple of arcade type areas, Cluggies in Chambersburg and Fun Castle right between Waynesboro and Waynesboro and Greencastle, I'm sorry. A lot of big parks in the area. Chambersburg has some good parks. They also have a water park or a big pool, but big public pool area. And Waynesboro also has a public pool. So a lot of outdoor activities for kids during the summertime, fall, spring, summertime. And then during the winter, we do have 2 ski resorts in the area that you can take your kids to, just snowboard, ski, tube, those types of things if they're into those things. And then there's a lot of trampoline places in the area, Sky Zone being one of them. Frederick is only about a half-hour drive. They have one called Urban Air, I believe. So you have a lot of different activities, indoor, outdoor, for your spring, summer, fall, and winter times. That's a great pro. There's always some activities. It's not necessarily inside Franklin County, but you're not far away from any good activities for your kids to do. So that's another good pro. Going to a con here, continuing the theme of entertainment, I mentioned there's a lot of outdoor activities, and that's great through the summertime. But when you hit winter, there's just not a ton to do in Franklin County itself. There is some things to do. Again, you can do ski resorts. We do have an abundance of bowling here, which is great if you're an avid bowler. But really outside of that, there's not a ton inside Franklin County. There are a lot of bars that people can go to, restaurants people can go to. But who wants to spend a ton of money on a bunch of food every single night going out to eat and stuff like that? So if you're a foodie, great. We have a ton of local restaurants that are great to try. But most of the time, you're not going to be wanting to go to a restaurant all the time to try new foods and new restaurants. So other than those couple of things, the winter time, there's just not a ton to do here. So I would say that's more of a con, but again, you're not far from other cities to be able to do other activities that they provide. So again, con, We don't have a ton of winter stuff inside Franklin County to do, but pro, we are close to major cities. Again, in a previous video, I mentioned that we're only about an hour and a half away from DC. We're 2 hours away from Philly, about 3 hours away from Pittsburgh, an hour away from Harrisburg and Hershey. So even during the summertime, you can take travels to all those locations, all those areas, and take a day trip, whatever. But also during the wintertime, those also provide more entertainment. So you can take a day trip or a weekend trip to those locations and do more activities. So with the con of not having a whole lot of stuff here, there's a pro, again, with being close to a lot of cities and a lot of amenities with the bigger cities that they bring. But you don't have to necessarily be living there. You can live here and travel there and still get your entertainment factor there. So talking about the winter a lot, and there's not a whole lot of activities to do. One of the other things that I would say is a con is Pennsylvania weather. Pennsylvania weather is absolutely crazy. Springtime, as a lot of Pennsylvanians know, that we go through 3 season changes in one day. You can wake up and it's 22 degrees, and then it could be snowing, and then it could turn to sleet, rain, and then by mid-afternoon it's 75, sunny, warm, and you're in t-shirt weather. It fluctuates so much during the springtime, fall time. The winters are usually not harsh snow-wise, but weather-wise, it gets very cold. A lot of times it'll hit the teens for a couple good weeks, and then people have burst pipes because they're not prepared for it. So we have a lot of issues with the weather. However, our springs, when it starts to get nice, it is beautiful here. The weather is absolutely amazing. And then the summer times are fairly mild because we are more north. We don't really get the harshest summers. We do get about 85-degree average. That is pretty warm, but it's not down in Florida where it's 98 all the time. We have great springs, great summers, and great falls. And the summers or the winters are a little harsher weather-wise. Snow-wise, we do get an abundance of snow, but it's not too much more than the average that we normally get. I think the average is about 30 inches of snow or so. I think we get about 28, I read. So it's not, we get about the average amount of snow every year that the rest of the, average is for the rest of the nation. So rain wise, we do get an abundance of rain. The springtime, we do get a good bit of rain leading into the summer, which is not a bad thing because then the summertime, the grass is green. Right now, we've went through a little bit of a drought, so my yard is pretty brown, but we did just get a bunch of rain all week. Like every day this week, it just rained, which again is not a bad thing. But I would say we got about 5 inches of rain this week. So again, weather is weird here. 3 seasons in one day. If that's not something you enjoy, and this is definitely not the place for you, but we definitely enjoy it here. It's great winters. When we get the blizzards, they're fun. They're kind of a headache, but the kids love them. We get out and play, but we don't get them very often. So we get about 2 or 3 inches at a time. So again, not the worst, but it does get very cold. In the chart I have, in January, low temperatures on average for Franklin County is about 22 degrees. And then you see Pennsylvania as a whole is about 18 degrees. And then in July, middle of summer, about 84 degrees. And then the average for Pennsylvania is about 83 degrees. So again, going back to what I said, it's very good summers, mild for the most part, and then harsher winters. So great overall weather, just a little bit of craziness. So another con I would say is our job market here. Our economy is fairly good in Franklin County. We don't have the variety of jobs. We do have mostly the same jobs: manufacturing, health services. We do have a lot of warehouses in the area, which provide good jobs for the community. Some people look at that as a con because we have a bunch of warehouses in the area, but it's also bringing a lot of job and a lot of economics here. I mean, we are growing all the time here. So with the job market increasing, it's 1% every year. We're increasing that. We're also increasing the population about 1% every year. So the job market is increasing with the population increase every year, which is a good thing. Our unemployment's down to 5.9, which is right on the average for the United States as a whole, as it's 6% as it sits right now. So again, it's a good thing. We're growing population wise. So we're growing as a community, and we're growing with jobs. Jobs are not, we're not growing and then nobody has a job because of it. The job market here is growing with that. So they're great opportunities. Some of the biggest areas that employers, or some of the biggest employers in the area, are JLG, Manitowoc Cranes, Volvo, Mack Trucks. So again, a lot of warehousing jobs, but they're great opportunities to get your foot somewhere in the door to start working, and then make your move from there. So I consider that a very big pro for the area. So mentioning the job market, one of the best things about Pennsylvania is our taxing bracket is kind of middle tier of the United States. So with our income taxes, it's around, I think, 3% at the moment, which is great. But the one downside I have about taxes here is we have a sales tax, and we're so close to the Maryland border that we can go over to the Maryland border and not have to pay a sales tax, but we go, or on clothing. Maryland doesn't have a sales tax on clothing, so you want to go there to buy clothes, right? But they have a sales tax on almost every other thing that they have there. But you go to Pennsylvania, it's a 6% on everything. So you're looking at a price tag and it says $20. It's not $20. You have to pay the sales tax, which I know most states do have, but Pennsylvania is just, it's 6%. I don't care for it. It's an annoying tax for me because I just don't want to have to figure in the 6%. And now teaching my kids how to purchase, they have $20 in their hand, they think they can go buy something for $19.99, but no, they can't. And then they're just disappointed because they have no idea why they can't. Why is it an extra $3 to $4? So the sales tax, I think, is a gimmick. It's something that I understand that we need, but I just don't understand why we're getting taxed so heavily for our income, and then we have to pay taxes per items with the income we just got taxed on. So to me, that's a con all day long. So another pro going along with the job market is housing affordability. So housing affordability in Franklin County is great. The median house prices for Franklin County right now are $250,000, and I believe the national average is $338,000. So right there is a huge savings moving to Franklin County. The job market is great, and along with that, the housing affordability is it's also great. So renting a property, I know a lot of people are always, oh, well, renting right now seems to be the thing because, houses are so expensive, at least in our area it is. And I hear that a lot, and I understand that. But housing, owning a property is always better than renting. And there's a lot of reasons to back that up, and that's a video for another time. But I don't see why people would want to rent. But if you're looking to rent in Franklin County, if you look at the chart, this is broken down into 3 different categories, not all exactly, up to date, but they're fairly close. So if you're looking at a studio, which we don't sell a lot of studio, or we don't have rentals for a lot of studios in the area, but you can see the chart. It's about $800 in Franklin County. And then the United States is about 18 or 1080. You go down to 1 bedroom, 810. Again, the Chambersburg, Waynesboro metro area, 810. Pennsylvania as a whole, 990, and then 1180 for the United States. So, and you can follow the chart the whole way down. It seems to be the same common theme the whole way down. We usually rent out a lot of 3-4 bedroom homes in the area, and those prices are about accurate. So going along with rentals, and as opposed to the rest of the nation, we're fairly cheap in the area, but still, in my opinion, if I'm paying $1,510 for a 4-bedroom house, and I can buy a house for $1,510, or my mortgage is $1,600, even $1,700, I might be paying a little bit more, but I get a lot of benefits in the back end from owning the property and not just renting the property. So realistically, again, going back to renting versus buying conversation, which is again a topic for another day, I would rather buy, but that's just me. That's a pro for me. The housing affordability, and I think renting here is still cheaper than most places anyway, so that's still a pro in my book. So another con, I would say, with a smaller town is, or a smaller community, I should say, because it's really a lot of small towns into one county here, but all of them have the same problem, and you wouldn't think that they have the same problem, but for me, they do. I've been in the big cities. I grew up in Harrisburg, so I know the traffic in Harrisburg. It is awful. But I'm going to tell you right now, road construction and the traffic during business hour, during the non-business hours when people are getting to work and out of work, it is horrendous here. Interstate 81 runs north and south through Franklin County, and one accident will shut the whole thing down. It is absolutely astonishing to me how they have not figured out a way to make 81 3 lanes yet through Pennsylvania, but they need to start doing it. West Virginia has 3 lanes through 81 or 81, And then Maryland is 2 lanes up to the last exit, and I think they've had plans on extending the 3 lanes all the way to the Pennsylvania border. But 81 is terrible with traffic, and then it filters into 11, Route 11, which we have north and south going through Franklin County as well, and that will back up if 81 backs up. So it is a pain in the butt for such a small town to have as much traffic as it has. I don't understand why, and it's not bad all the time. Sometimes you're sitting there for 5 minutes and you're good. Sometimes I've been sitting, it takes me 10 minutes to get to Greencastle from Waynesboro. Sometimes on a bad traffic day, it'll take me 20 minutes to get there. Waynesboro through town, it'll take me 20 minutes to get from one side to the other side of town, and we are a small town. Chambersburg, same thing. Small town traffic can be just as annoying as big city traffic. So if you're looking to move here and have that traffic not be as big of a pain in the butt as it is in the bigger cities, trust me, it can be just as big of a pain in the butt, especially on 81. It is horrendous. And then I would say the last con that I have for small town agricultural living is the smell. So the smell can be pretty bad during the springtime and during the summertime, but most of the springtime is when all the crops are starting to be laid out. Farmers are getting their product ready to start growing for the summer. And it can be unbearable sometimes where you're just driving, all of a sudden you get a nice wafty smell of farm. And it is not, I mean, it is bad. But that's where we live. We live in a small town community where farmers have to farm. They're the backbones of America. They're the ones that make a lot of our crops that they sell at local markets or the big chains like Walmart. So I understand it and I love it, but it stinks. It's people don't mind it here. I don't mind it, but it definitely takes some getting used to with the smells, and they're all different. So to me, that's a little bit of a con and to be expected if you're living in this area. So that's it, guys. That's my list on the pros and cons of the Franklin County, PA, and surrounding areas. If you have any questions or concerns, I'm going to have all my stuff linked down below. Please leave me a message of any sort. That'd be great. I can answer any of your questions. If you have any comments about the pros and cons of your area or even the Franklin County area, if you live in the area, that'd be great. Leave the comments down below. Let people read them, see what they feel about those comments or how they feel about your pro or con. If you like the information provided today, please leave me a like and subscribe down below and hit that notification bell so you never miss any other videos I put out. But that's it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time.